All right, let's go ahead and call the Senate to order. Sergeant at Arms will please secure the chamber doors. Members, please take your seats. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Mr. President,
All right, Senators, we are very pleased this morning to have Rabbi Jordan Hirsch of Beth Shalom Congregation in Frederick, Maryland, guest of the distinguished senator from District 3. Our rabbi is also the chaplain for the 115th Military Police Battalion of the Maryland Army National Guard. Please rise for the invocation.
I invite you to join me in spirit as I offer these words of prayer. Sovereign of all worlds, Spirit of all flesh, it is with a humble gratitude that we gather before you this morning, blessed to be able to be in partnership with you as we join together in the process of building a more perfect world, one which serves as a reflection of your divine love, compassion, and justice. May every resident of this beautiful state be filled with a deep sense of moral responsibility to care for one another and the drive to become better stewards of our shared communities. I ask you to lift up within the hearts of these esteemed elected officials the humility to see, in the face of the magnitude of the work ahead, just how small each of us are, and at the same time, I ask you to keep in their awareness the power each of us is afforded. For indeed, this collective project of governing and bettering our world can at times feel overwhelming. We can feel frustrated through stagnation and failure. And yet, we must know in the very depths of our being that every step forward on this journey takes us one step closer to the world we envision. As the great first-century rabbinic sage Rabbi Tarfon taught, Lo alecha hamlacha ligmor, it is not upon you to complete the task, v'lo ata ben chorin livatel mimena, but neither are you free to desist from it. The task before these individuals, representing the collective hopes of all Marylanders, is indeed great, and I ask you to fill them with the strength and ambition to overcome whatever challenges threaten to divert them from their course. Keep their moral compass true, and grant them the wisdom to know that though they are each but one part of something much greater than their own selves, that their effort is essential to realizing our collective vision. Thank you for affording us the privilege of serving our fellow brothers and sisters, and in doing so, serving you. I invite you to join one another in saying Amen.
Chair recognizes the senator from the 3rd District.
Thank you, Mr. President, and thank you, Rabbi Hirsch, for leading us today in a spiritual prayer. Rabbi Hirsch has been a member and leader in the Frederick community for over a decade, and I have known him about that long. I've always been impressed with his wisdom, his accessibility, and his compassion. He has an extensive background and training with the Jewish Theological Seminary, and he spent many years living and studying in Israel. He also is an alumnus
Excuse me, Senator, just one moment. It's just a little bit too loud in here. If we could please give the senator our attention. Senator, may proceed.
Thank you, Mr. President. He's also an alumnus of the Rabbis Without Borders Rabbinical Student Fellowship Program. And an emphasis of that program is interfaith relationships and the building of those relationships, which is more important than ever today. The Senate President mentioned that he's a member of the Maryland National Guard, and he serves as the only Jewish member in Maryland. But I want to share with you why I invited him here today. On October 7th, like many members of my community, I was frightened, scared, apprehensive. I felt isolated, didn't know where to go, what to do, who to reach out to. And so I went to Beth Shalom many times after that. And I was so inspired by the rabbi's ability to calm fears, to bring people together, to have thoughtful conversation, and to organize us in unity. So I knew for sure he had a message of wisdom and compassion for this body. Thank you for joining us today, and I'd like to request that his comments be journalized.
Without objection, most certainly. Thank you, Senator, for that reflection and introduction, and we'll journalize the invocation this morning and thank the Rabbi for your leadership and kind words this morning. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Has everyone recorded their presence? If so, the clerk will take the call. With 46 members in the chamber and the quorum being present, the Senate of Maryland is now in session. We have some guests. First, very briefly, I have my own guest today. I want to introduce the body to Mark Lerner, a friend and mentor. He is a resident of the 11th District, but has been an incredible colleague and guidance and consoler and jokester, depends on the moment, and just am so grateful for him and his wife, and so glad that he could be here today to see the state of the state. So welcome. If we could please give him a warm Senate welcome. All right, other guests today. Guests. Yes, Chair recognizes Senator from the 33rd District.
Thank you, Mr. President. Up in the gallery are students from Crofton Middle School. I met with them earlier, and they had fantastic questions presented to me. I was in the hot seat, and it's a pleasure to welcome them here today to the gallery. You know, also the senator from the 21st District represents students from there as well. If you could just give them a warm welcome and a round of applause. Thank you, Mr.
Welcome to
President.
Crofton Middle School. Welcome, welcome. Over on this side too. Good to see you all. Other introductions? Other introductions? If not, let's jump right in. We've got a lot of work to do. So be considered the reading of the journal from the prior legislative day. We're going to get through as much as we can, we'll see, and then we'll head over at 11:50. So 13 minutes or so, we'll start to line up and we'll take it from there. We've got introduction of Senate bills, calendar 36. Clerk will read the bills.
Senate Bill 1107, Senator M. Washington, Department of Housing, Community Development, Homeless Shelter Licensing Program Establishment, Rules.
Majority Leader moves so be considered the reading of the bills. They will be referred to the Rules Committee. We have some legislative bond initiatives. Calendar 21, clerk will read the bond initiatives.
Number 1, Senator Ferguson, Be More Clubhouse, Budget and Taxation. Number 2, Senator
Majority Leader
Ferguson.
moves so be considered the reading of the bond initiatives. They'll be referred to the Capital Budget Subcommittee. We have a letter of appointment. Clerk will read the message.
Regarding appointments to Johns Hopkins University Police Accountability Board, dear Senator Hayes, I'm pleased to report that the Johns Hopkins has selected 7 members of the Johns Hopkins Baltimore communities to fill vacancies on the Johns Hopkins Police Accountability Board, as authorized under Senate Bill 793 and Community Safety Strengthening Act of 2019, Chapter 25. These appointments require confirmation by the Maryland Senate.
Majority Leader moves so be considered the reading of the full message. The names will be referred for consideration to the Executive Nominations Committee. We have a laid-over bill. Let's go ahead and start there. This is layover calendar number 1. Clerk will read the bill.
Senate Bill 303, Chair, Education, Energy, and the Environment Committee, Aquaculture, Definition of Shellfish, Alterations. Question is on the adoption of 2 committee amendments and the favorable report.
All right, this is Senate bill. Question for the Senate is on the 2 committee amendments and the favorable committee report. On the amendments, any discussion? Any objections? Without objection, the 2 committee amendments are adopted. Question now is on the amended report. Any discussion? Any objections? Without objection, the amended report is adopted. Are there any further amendments to the bill or its title? Seeing none, Senate Bill 303 is hereby ordered printed for 3rd reading. Let's go to layover calendar number 2. Clerk will read the bill.
Senate Bill 23, Senator West, Orphans Court Judges, Elections. Question is on the adoption of the 2 committee amendments and the favorable report.
All right, the question is on the 2 committee amendments and the favorable committee report. On the amendments, any discussion? Any objections? Without objection, the 2 committee amendments are adopted. Question now is on the amended report. Any discussion? Any objections? Without objection, the favorable committee report as amended is adopted. Are there any further amendments to the bill or its title? Seeing none, Senate Bill 23 is hereby ordered printed for 3rd reading. All right, we're moving along. Layover calendar number 3. Clerk will read the bill.
Senate Bill 159, Senator Guile, Courts, Military Records, Recordation, and Inspection. Question is on the adoption of the 1 committee amendment and the favorable report.
All right, questions on the one committee amendment and the favorable committee report. On the amendment, the committee amendment,
Actually, it was on the report, so
on the
I'll
report,
hold
okay.
off.
So let's adopt the report. We do, it looks like we do have an amendment. Is that,
I'd like to special order it before we consider the amendment. To the
okay, got it. Okay, so let's do this. Why don't we special order it to the appropriate time tomorrow? Oh, Friday, perfect. Any objections if we special order the bill to the appropriate time on Friday? What? Friday. Maybe we have a guest. No pro forma on Friday. Oh, I see. Right, yes. Oh, I see. Yes. Now I understand the question. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Right. That's it. Yes, so Friday. Are there any objections? Actually, apparently there are some objections, but reasonable objections? If none, all right. Without objection, we'll special order the bill to the appropriate time on Friday. The bill and the amendments. All right. That actually does it. The desk is now clear. I thought we were going to take a little while, so we are efficient on the Senate floor. We've got 9 minutes. Anyone have a story? No, let's do this. We will recess. I'm hesitant to do that only because we have to stay in the chamber. So, and we will secure the chamber because we are going to recess to process across for the state of the state. So I think we will let's just recess for now. We'll go, and then we'll please stay in the chamber. And so we'll recess until we begin again in the House building at noon. So, but we will walk over at 11:50. So, Chair recognizes the Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the Senate stand in recess until we walk across the hall for the procession.
Without objection, so ordered. We are in recess. Please stay in the chamber.